This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittleBitCulty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
So we left off where one of the things that being an Amway did had a structure and decisions were taken off the table, and then he's back into the world where like multiple decisions.
Yeah, I was actually just like to know, when you look back at your 13 years, where do you think your first red flag was or your first moment of like, uh-oh, if you can recall?
Yeah, well, you have them throughout the journey, but you're very much conditioned in that grooming process to like push all of those aside. One of the things that they said a lot to us was stop using your own brain.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Stop using your own brain.
Your own brain has gotten you to where you are in life and has limited you, right? Your best thinking has gotten you to where you are right now, which is a broke 21-year-old or whatever, and looking for more in your life. So use the brain of somebody who has created tremendous results in their life and stop using your own just for a period of time. And they'll guide you towards that, right? So anytime you heard something negative, any kind of red flag came up, you were taught immediately bring that to your upline and have a conversation around it. Because there's nothing that they haven't heard. There's nothing that they haven't seen.
Wow.
I think early on, a good friend of ours brought to our attention one of the videos on YouTube of like the Dateline thing with like going to an Amway conference and showing all of these things. And they showed it to us and I was kind of freaked out by it. And I brought it to my upline and I was like, dude, like, what is this? What's going on here? And he was like, well, has that been your experience?
Oh.
Again, another thought-stopping cliche, right?
Yeah.
I was like, no, like you guys have been amazing and you've given me no reason to not trust you. And he's like, well, then trust us. That's not what I've experienced. That's not what you've experienced. So that has nothing to do with you. So they very like quickly teach you how to like compartmentalize what you're doing and like push out any negative that would come towards it. So you never really evaluate those things. And even like in the initial presentation talks, a lot of it is directed towards addressing negative. So they address it on the front end. They'll even bring up the word pyramid scheme. They'll talk about that in the presentation because they know you're going to get that from friends and family. So if they can inoculate you against it on the front end by talking about it and addressing it head on, then you're less susceptible to be knocked out by a family member along the way.
Yeah,
They're good.
Like, oh, I know this one.
Yeah.
Did you learn feel, felt, found?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You betcha. I felt the same way.
It's so insidious.
Yeah. So there were always those things along the way. And we just kind of, those didn't carry a lot of weight to them because we were so well inoculated against it through that initial kind of phase of really like becoming all into the business. But then there were things that came up that really indicated to us, like in the last couple of years, I think it was 2021 or so, we had a situation come up where like it was a really terrible situation in our family. I'm not going to give too many details of it, but like somebody was in danger and I had nobody to go to in this situation. So I had to reach out to my upline, the people that, wanted to be my everything and had taught me to create this situation I was in. So I reached out to them. I messaged them on our voicemail system. I texted them and I heard nothing back from them for the whole day. It was like 8 hours later and we got a text from them that was like, everything all right? Like that terrible situation you were in, did it sort itself out? Like, kind of like making it into like a nothing situation. And we were really hurt by that. And, we were taught to have direct communication and to bring things up. So I thought it was really important to bring it up with them. So we brought it to them and we said like, hey, this was a situation where I really just needed somebody to text me back and be like, I'm so sorry you're going through that. Like, we're here for you. Like, there was nothing they could really do, but we just needed support in that moment. And they just weren't there. So for one, we realized, okay, these people aren't actually maybe really our friends. And maybe they'll never be our friends. Like, we've been trying so hard to earn their love and affection and attention for many years. And maybe it's just never going to happen.
It's transactional.
But then bringing up that to them, they actually turned it around on us and they got really mad at us.
What did they say?
Wow.
They were like, you have no idea what was going on in our day. Like, and I had even like, you gaslight yourself before they even gaslight you. So in my mind, when I was feeling upset about this, I was like, but what if like their kid was in the hospital or something? Like, what if there was a situation that they were dealing with that prevented them from being able to get back to us? I thought about that ahead of time. And they brought that up. They were like, what if so-and-so was in the hospital? What if we were dealing with this? What if we were dealing? They weren't dealing with any of those things. It was all hypotheticals. And they got so mad at us, and they'd never really done that before, like gotten upset with us about something. So we apologized in the situation, right? And looking back on it, we're like, classic gaslighting situation where you're apologizing for, having a normal human response to not feeling supported and cared for. But yeah, so then that was a little bit of like, okay. And there's one of the rules. So there's specific rules in a lot of MLMs that really guide you towards that like closed environment with them. One of them is that you're not allowed to talk to crossline. So crossline is somebody who isn't upline of you and isn't downline of you, but they're still in the business.
How do they justify that?
Silo.
So they justify it by saying that there's been situations in the past that have caused major damage to organizations because affection was stronger between two crossline than it was between upline. So the idea is your upline is supposed to know everything that you're going through. If I'm an alcoholic, my upline likely is going to know that because I'm talking with them, I'm working through that. Like they kind of market themselves as like life coaches and everything kind of coaches, right? And so if I'm an alcoholic, my upline is going to know that. My crossline might not necessarily know that. So maybe I'm building affection with them and they ask me out to go for a drink, innocently. All of a sudden I'm off the wagon. My whole organization gets destroyed because, my alcoholism is out of control and, you've made this bad decision because you were crosslining. So that was one of the stories that was told to us to justify like why you don't crossline. And you definitely don't talk about anything business related because your upline knows your business and can coach you properly to build it, is the idea. So that was one of the rules. No crosslining. You're never supposed to do something for the first time without checking upline. So that could be like big purchases in your life. That could be a new way of building the business. That could be starting an Instagram account. That could be anything, right? Because they say everything has been tried. We know what works, what doesn't work. Run it by us first, and we'll tell you if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea, right?
What would happen if you didn't do that? What would the repercussions be?
There's no overt repercussion, but you would lose the attention. Like you would be then somebody who's not really coachable.
Right.
So the edification that you receive from your upline is very important in the business. And maybe they just wouldn't be edifying you for a little bit. Maybe they would, shy away from highlighting you at different events and stuff like that.
Let me ask you, so there's not one leader kind of imbuing the organization through this, so you can't say it's one leader, but when you say they want you to, where does this come from? What's the origin of it?
So you hear it from multiple different people in multiple different ways. And like I said, maybe it's not exact words of things, but the environment is created by what you're hearing from every direction. And then your specific upline, they're the ones that are like giving you the personalized coaching. They're the ones that you would go to and be like, hey, I'm thinking of buying this car. Is this a bad idea or is this a good idea? And they'll run it through the filter of, okay, these are your goals in your business. This will help you get to your goal, or this will stop you from getting to your goal. So every decision that you make aligns with the goal that they're trying to help you accomplish through your business, right?
They're getting you obedient to them.
Yes.
Yeah. And creating a dependency.
Yeah, 100%.
And then adapting to the tactics of people calling out. Like, how does it metastasize?
Yeah, it's cumulative knowledge over the years, right? Over years and years of like seeing how certain things can like affect the organization. I think they've like really honed in on, okay, this is really important to have people continue to be obedient or to continue their like commitment to the organization. So I think it has happened over a long period of time. And then each leader, like the leaders are still listening to these same things. So they then internalize it, communicate it in their own way, and then also know your personal situation. So they know how to communicate to you and say, well, Stefan, I know you're wanting to purchase this vehicle or this house. And this is a real situation that we had. Stefan, you're wanting to purchase this house. I want you to understand that, you know, there could be a scenario where you lose your job, Jenna loses her job, you're not able to pay that, you go into foreclosure, you're now bankrupt, and you're not able to continue pursuing what you want to pursue for your life. Is that a situation you want to put yourself in? Like they would walk through those situations with you and like scare you out of making a decision like that. Luckily, that conversation happened after we had started to wake up a little bit more. So we made the decision to go ahead and purchase the house. But legitimately, I was being told that I would potentially be ending up in bankruptcy in buying a house at 34 years old.
Time to deprogram. Listen up for our sponsor's latest offer.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Ever catch yourself oversharing just a little bit? Yep, been there. Maybe with your group chat or a total stranger in the bathroom line. We all look for support in pretty funny places, but dealing with things like anxiety or relationships deserves a professional's touch. That's where BetterHelp comes in. They take out the guesswork. After a quick questionnaire about your needs and preferences, they get you matched with a great therapist from their network of over 30,000 fully licensed professionals. And if it's not a perfect fit, you can switch anytime, no questions asked. Therapy has been a total game changer for us, especially after deprogramming from Nexium. BetterHelp is completely online, so sessions fit your schedule. You can pause your subscription when needed, and with a 4.9-star rating from 1.7 million reviews over 10 years, you know you're in good hands. Stop looking for wisdom in random places. Find your real match with BetterHelp and get the support you deserve. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/culty. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/culty.
Ever find it impossible to switch off at night? Soul's out-of-office gummies are my new go-to for winding down. They help me relax, quiet my mind, and fall asleep naturally with just the right mix of CBD and THC. Soul is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Soul specializes in delicious, hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. I love knowing that they're wellness-focused, made from organically farmed, USA-grown hemp. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, low in sugar, and totally federally legal. If you want a restful night without next-day grogginess, try Soul's out-of-office gummies and feel good about what you're putting in your body. Bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Soul today. Right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. Go to getsoul.com and use the code Culty. That's getsoul.com, promo code Culty for 30% off. Since moving to the ATL, tracking our financial accounts has gotten way more complicated. 401ks, investments, and additional bank accounts. We're honestly worried we might be leaving money on the table. That's why we started using Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that pulls together everything. Your savings, retirement accounts, and investments, all in one super clean dashboard right on your laptop or phone. Monarch Money makes it easy to spot inefficient investments, find forgotten 401ks, see your true cash flow, and realize if you're saving less than you thought. It even lets you review finances with your partner or financial advisor at no extra cost, keeping everyone on the same page. Tired of juggling spreadsheets and multiple apps? Monarch does all the heavy lifting. Link your accounts in minutes, switch on smart categorizations, and get powerful data visuals that make sense of your money fast. No more guessing, no more awkward money talks. Named Best Budgeting App of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal, Forbes Best Apps for Couples, and celebrated by experts everywhere. Monarch makes finances simple for busy lives. Don't leave money on the table. Get organized, confident, and let Monarch help you hit your goals together. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code Culty at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Culty. Thanks for listening. Now let's resume our Culty convo.
So you had many red flags. You couldn't wrap your head around them. You were compartmentalizing these things. Was there one particular thing that caused the camel's back to break?
Yeah. So I think 2021 was also the year that we started reading our own books. Like they give you a book list and you're supposed to read the books off of the recommended book list, all like prosperity gospel, all like very geared towards this like pull up your bootstraps and get to work kind of mentality. So we started reading our own books. And then in 2023, I think it was, I decided to change jobs. I worked in outside sales and I was just like done with it. I'd never really wanted to be in that industry, but it was a great business building job to have. And I decided to try for something else. And I was actually recommended a job from somebody who was a platinum in the business, but like a cross-line platinum, but we had to check up line and make sure everything was okay. And he recommended that I take this job where he was working, and he immediately left after I got there. But I made no money for 6 weeks, like $0. And at that point, Jenna and I were like, we can't spend $200 on our audios that we have been listening to for 13 years and our, voicemail system that goes back and forth. We're like, we got to put this stuff on hold until we can figure out the job situation. So as soon as we did that, our minds started to like free up. Like as soon as we stopped putting in our audio, as soon as we got up every single morning and programming our brains, we started to think our own thoughts and we started to like recognize things and be like, ooh, that was problematic. Oh, that's not good. Oh, maybe that feeling that we have where like we don't want to do this, that's actually just like our internal compass telling us that this is the wrong thing to be doing and pursuing. And so really like freed up our mind there. And then we reached out to them, I think a couple months later, and we were like, it's been 13 years now of us being in relationship with these people. They were like our closest friends, my only friends, really. And I was like, we want to have a conversation with you guys. Like we're putting our, membership on hold. And we didn't want you guys to just get an email after 13 years that said that. And they were like, okay, it sounds like you guys have made your decision. So unless you want some perspective on that decision, we probably don't really need to talk about it. And we were like, okay. We were blown away by that after 13 years, that was the response that we would get. And looking back, it makes sense. They've had hundreds of people have that exact conversation with them, and they've probably never gotten anywhere. Or maybe they have manipulated them to stay in by giving them some perspective on it, right? So we were really blown away by that. And then that was 6 months of us just being like really sad, like leaving it. Like we left our future, like the future that we thought we would have. We left all of the goals that we had. We left the entire community that we had, all of the wonderful people that were part of that. Nobody could talk to us. Like you're not allowed to talk to somebody who's left the business. They even try and control you when you leave the business. We've had lots of people reach out on our Instagram page that have talked about like, my old upline is trying to get me to stop talking to the people that are still in the business. Tell me you're a cult without telling me you're a cult.
Sorry, you never took them up on hearing their perspective, I'm guessing.
No, we didn't.
That's good. I'm so glad.
We didn't need their perspective. Yeah. At that point, we knew we didn't need their perspective. We knew exactly what they would say, right? And yeah, so we were sad. And then it was like 6 months later, it was in December that I started like looking into like some cult stuff. And I think I found your podcast. I listened to Life After MLM. I started watching Always Marco on YouTube, X's and T podcast. Julie Anderson, like a bunch of people that are kind of in that space. And they were talking about being in a cult. And I chat GPT, what are the signs that you're in a cult? What are the red flags that you're in a cult? And it was like, check, 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 check. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And so I texted somebody that had left the business probably like 5 years before us. And we stayed in contact with him because he had a really great like ministry that he was running and just like a super solid guy. And he never tried to like get us out or anything. So it was safe having conversation with him. But we texted him and we were like, dude, were we in a cult? And he was like, oh, you're in that stage. Everybody goes through it.
Yeah. I know, right?
And you'd never heard the term, like no one, when you were in it, no one had ever used that word.
Cult?
Yeah.
They had brought it up. They had inoculated us against that as well, right? Like they say, oh, people will say we're a cult. And, if being positive and having an incredible community of people who love and serve other peoples is a cult, then sign me up.
Yeah.
And there will be people who listen to this who are in something that might be a little bit culty, and they will have that defense. And they will continue to have that defense until the evidence is right in their face that there's something other than that. Beyond the community, right? So, and until you have that experience, which by the way is a brilliant defense mechanism, is that your experience? Did you experience Keith inviting you to the harem? No, he's never done that to me. Therefore, it can't be happening, right?
It certainly doesn't take into consideration that it was someone else's experience and it was co-opted for that person, and that your experience is being co-opted as well, just differently. So your experience is different, but it's still under the guise of a cult.
Right. A little nugget I'll just plant for people who might be listening is if somebody in leadership ever says something to you like, is that your experience? That doesn't negate that it wasn't somebody else's experience. And that's super important. And you want to search out those experiences and not from the leadership, not from your upline or your pastor or your coach or whatever. You want to find out what happened without your leadership knowing that you're investigating.
Be your own detective.
Be your own detective with your own brain. Okay. Back to you. So you leave, you're recovering, you talk to this guy.
Yeah. So at that point, then we're mad. We were really mad, I think you go through the stages of grief, right? We were grieving the old life that we had and the old association that we had. And we were so mad. And then we found out about the pay plan. Like we found out that we sat through hundreds of these presentations that were so long. Some of them were like 3 hours long of them talking about the business and how great it was and what an incredible life they have. And never once mentioning, oh, by the way, all of these tools that I'm promoting that are your like direct path to get to the results that I have, I make money every time you purchase those. That was very jarring to us.
Because your leadership was platinum level.
Our leadership was diamond. Yeah.
Diamond. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever
confront them?
Or?
We confronted them very publicly. They were not safe people to have that conversation with directly. And we felt like we didn't really need to have that conversation directly with them. If there was reach out after the fact, like we went public and we posted it on Instagram, and we actually had kind of like a direct line to several of the IBOs on Instagram. So we sent that out and we were like, listen, guys, we've just discovered that we were in a cult. Like, these are the things that are happening that are not good. And we started talking about it and started like really processing what we were going through, like publicly in that space to help people as we were going through it. Thank goodness Jenna and I were in this together. Like, I could not imagine being a single person going through this and nobody gets what you've been through. Like, if you don't have a community of people you can talk to that have been part of a cult before, nobody gets it. They're just like, why did you do that? Like, why did you think that was a good idea? And you're battling so much shame internally because you're like, I was a perpetrator of this for 13 years. Like, I promoted this to people. I probably like caused people to stumble financially, and like, never mind in their like faith, right? There's a lot of faith manipulation that happens in there.
Let's take a little break from the cultiverse. Here's a word from our sponsors. Okay, my friends, here's the deal. I'm officially done stress eating while panic planning dinner. Hungry Root is now my secret weapon. I just texted all the women who live on my street. We're on a little group chat because I'm obsessed and I want them to have the same relief that I have had. Hungry Root is basically filling up my cart for me, planning my entire week of meals, and gets smarter every time I order. It's like having a personal shopper, chef, minus the judgment about how many snacks I buy. Seriously, with over 15,000 recipes ready-made in 15 minutes or less, which is obviously a game changer, Hungry Root makes it so easy. Whether you want smoothies, sweets, salads, snacks for the kiddos, even if you're gluten-free, dairy-free, or just free from wanting to plan anything, Hungry Root's Smart Cart quiz nails it every time. And you save so much money too. No more random impulse buys or expensive last-minute takeout. Plus, our special link scores you a free item in every box for life. Yeah, you heard it right. Free food forever. Hungry Root also kicks out all the weird stuff you don't want, like artificial sweeteners, gross additives, and mystery meats. We are personally loving having such a robust new plethora of snacks that we never would have known that our kids like, because they send us these things and then we find out that our kids like something that we didn't know, which is such a bonus. I also am just loving having a really balanced, healthy meal plan smorgasbord in my fridge that's just ready to go and I don't have to think about it. So that's right. School's back and Hungry Root is my lifesaver right now. Trusted brands, healthy groceries, and no kitchen meltdowns. Hungry Root makes adulting feel way easier and actually kind of fun. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/culty and use code culty. That's hungryroot.com/culty, code culty to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/culty, code culty. Enjoy. Thank you for listening. Now, let's dive back into the cultiverse. Where are you at now in your healing journey? Like, what have you been doing? What's your therapy been like and whatnot?
Yeah, therapy has been good. Like a lot of it is unraveling like the black and white thinking, like really deeply into me. I'm a very justice oriented person. That's why I couldn't not speak out about this, because to me, for the 70 years that business has been in operation, I feel like there's not been nearly enough people that have told the true story of it and what has actually happened behind the scenes, right? And when you don't tell the story, then people just continue. Somebody else is 21 years old getting into that organization today, and they're going to spend the next 13 years of their life stuck there.
Totally.
They're going to wake up and be like, what the heck just happened? But maybe they'll search for that company and they'll stumble across our Instagram page, and maybe something that I share will connect with them and can prevent that from happening, right? So that's been like a huge part of the healing for me, is just talking about it. Like I need to verbally process things, talking with you guys. Like I'm even saying things that I've like not put to words before, and it helps clarify for me my thinking around the topic, right?
And that's the gift of it. What you just described is I got language for what happened, and now that I have language for what happened, I can go say it to other people.
And I'm the same way. Like I can laugh at it now. Like I can make funny videos on Instagram that, you know, comment on the thought process that I had while I was in there. At first it was like so heavy and so like I couldn't do any of that stuff. But yeah, now it's like laughter is part of that like healing process, and then therapy and talking about it with my wife and reading every book I can get my hands on, understanding what happened, how the industry was built, how it's gotten away with this for so long. Like there's so much history to it.
So much history.
That's what I'm like.
History is overwhelming, especially when you bring in the prosperity gospel and the Christian element of it, which we didn't even touch on in this episode. But maybe we'll put some links to some other history focused.
That chaps my ass.
That does chap my ass. We didn't ask you, what chaps your ass the most about Amway?
Ooh, I think it's probably there's so many things that chap my ass. I don't know. Probably the fact that on the surface, it looks so wholesome. Like if you look at their Instagram account or any of their marketing, it's like, you know, we take the immigrant that has no experience and we can teach them how to really succeed in North America and accomplish incredible things that they never thought possible. And meanwhile, in my opinion, it exploits the most vulnerable people in our population and they put it on full display.
Right.
Wow. That's a good way of putting it. Yep.
Absolutely. It's exploiting the American dream. It's leveraging the American dream.
Yeah, it's shaped the American dream. And that's what that Little Bosses Everywhere book is all about. It's how it's really like shaped a lot of the culture, because people think that is the American dream, like pursuing this deregulation and, just having the ability to create something for yourself and trusting the people that are going to guide you to get there. And there's no protections. It's unpaid labor all the time, right?
Right.
You're a workforce that doesn't get paid.
Hence the title, Little Bosses Everywhere, but not real bosses.
Yeah.
Right. The whole
not
like
at all.
hashtag boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag boss babe. Be your own boss. Hey, hun.
You don't own anything. Like you can't change the product line. You can't change the product. You can't change the packaging. You can't change the pricing really. Like you sell it for the suggested retail they give you. Like nothing is really under your control. You're not a boss of anything except your mini cult.
Those are really key points. Is there anything else you'd say to somebody who might be listening who's in something like Amway or in Amway or considering joining? What do you want people to know? What do you wish you'd known?
I'd want people to know that it's very easy to look at it and think, oh, this is just like a little side thing that I'm doing. It's not a big deal if I pursue something like this. I don't know why people are so up in arms about it or so upset about it. I buy products from myself and I teach other people to do the same thing. It's a very simple concept. I'd want people to know that like those simple concepts are what sell people on it so that they're able to get the hooks in you. And that's when the cult part comes in. As your environment shrinks and becomes more and more about pursuing the goals that you have within that organization, everything else fades away. And like isolating from friends, cutting people out of your life, like changing your personality, the way that you interact with, focusing so much of your life and energy on this. A lot of times they talk about like it's just a quick run. It's just a 5-year run. It's a 2 to 5 year run to create these results. I can tell you from being on the other side of 13 years of it, it's not that. And it's very easy for the cult tactics to get their hooks in you and to be stuck there for a long time out of no fault of your own.
Oh, but Stefan, you just didn't do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right off.
You did the work, you just didn't get paid for it.
And yeah, exactly right. And you got to understand too, even if you do the work and you accomplish that, like what are you accomplishing? There's thousands of people that leave the organizations every single year. I think in North America, it's something like 3.5 million people leave MLMs every single year. They have a 50% turnover rate. So that's why everybody knows somebody that's in an MLM or has been in an MLM.
3.5 million.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And with that many people leaving, are those people who have left, do they have positive things to say about that? Or do they have negative things to say about that? Because in my mind, the legacy that you're leaving is not the legacy you think you're leaving by building this business. So even if you are successful, are you happy about being successful and being the 1% that caused the 99% to lose money? Because the stats show that 99%, more than 99% of people lose money in your MLM.
Those are some staggering numbers.
Yeah.
I never really, 3.5 and 99% of the people lose money.
And how does it feel now to interact with somebody new and just get to know them versus secretly plan to recruit them?
Amazing. Or just not talk to them, like go to the park with our kids and just like sit quietly on the bench and not be like, okay, where's the other adult? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. We're going to go talk to that person. Okay. I got to get over there. What can I say? Constantly you're running through that in your mind.
Totally. Which, it's funny because even before I was involved in any of this, I'm more of a talk to strangers person. Like I get that from my dad.
It's true. You do talk to a lot of strangers.
That was definitely like helpful for me in terms of like being a good recruiter because that just came naturally to me. But even now, I'm not trying to recruit anybody into anything. And I still talk to strangers. He's like, do you have to talk to everybody?
Well, yeah, I don't mind it necessarily. But then when she gets into like the backstory, I'm like, hey, we got to go pick up our kid now. And
it can bog me down a little bit. But it's
great. It's a good feature. I think you could cut it after the intro.
Noted. Thank you for sharing your perspective and
you're
your
welcome.
feedback for
You're
me,
welcome.
Anthony.
You're on notice now. Yeah.
Stefan, is there anything that we didn't ask you or anything that you were wanting to say or any sort of like major nuggets you wanted to leave with our audience?
I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is just, don't be shitty to other people. There's so many ways that you can be, and there's so many ways that you can manipulate to get what you want out of life. Don't let success become this god that you worship at the altar of your dignity and your character, your integrity. There's ways that you can teach people how to not manipulate to get what they want. Like, work hard for what you want. Absolutely. If you want to be successful at something, you have to work hard, but you also have to recognize where that transitions over into manipulation of somebody.
Well said.
That was really well put. Cue soundbite.
Yeah, actually, one other question I want to ask you. Is there anything that anybody could have said to you, or is there any advice that you'd have to somebody who knows somebody in MLM that could have planted a seed or planted one of the red flags to go on the shelf? Some advice you have for people? Because we all know somebody who's in it. And you're right, we don't want to rock the boat or be rude and be like, hey, did you know that you're actually in a cult kind of thing? So what kind of seeds would you plant?
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, they are inoculated against all of those kind of typical objections that people would bring up for them. So I think you have to really use questions to get them thinking about things and relate it to other situations that maybe you've been in, right? If you just talk about the dynamics of the relationships and like, I'm really concerned that it seems like these are the only people you're spending time with. Or, try not to be too confrontational with somebody because we're trained to like put up the wall and then shut down and like not speak to you because you're not a safe person to be around talking about what we do. So if you can keep those lines of communication open and really just like show concern, try and reach out to people to stay in contact with them because they likely will not put a lot of effort into that on their end. So don't just abandon them if you can, and just really be that safe place for them to come when they start to have their own questions and they start to wake up a little bit to what's going on. So, because you don't want them thinking that if they go to you, you're going to be like, yes, I told you that was a pyramid scheme and you should have left a long time ago. They don't want to think that's going to be the response that they get. So if you can be, very kind of like caring and have soft hands when they come to that, you want to be there for them.
Safe place to land. Amazing. Where can people find you and Jenna and the work that you're doing now around MLMs?
Yeah, we are on Instagram. If you look up X, so ex.IBO, ex-IBO, that is us. And we comment on what we're going through. You'll probably hear some of the stories that even I talked about on here just in brief form. And I like to kind of walk through that healing journey with other people. And the comments are the best part because you get to see the community of people that has formed around it and how incredible those people are, amazing hearts, and they were just manipulated by these people. So
how hopeful are you now? Where is Amway?
I am hopeful. They are way backwards from where they were. They peaked, I think, 2019, 2020, they probably peaked at around $12 billion of revenue. And they're down to, I think, $7.7 billion of revenue as of 2024. So they've gone backwards. There is ebbs and flows in that business. And typically when the economy is bad, that's when they pick up, unfortunately.
Really?
So now is the time, because it's another way to make money.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right.
The promise.
So I'm hopeful that it's going in the right direction. I'm not really hopeful that litigation is going to do a whole lot to them. They have way too much political power, way
lobbyists.
too much ties to those people. I think it's going to be a grassroots thing. I think the same way that the pyramid was built is the same way that the pyramid crumbles. Because if you knock down the bottom layer of the pyramid, that weakens the next layer, and then you can knock out that layer, and that weakens the next layer. Because as soon as people stop making money and start going backwards in this thing that requires a tremendous amount of effort on their part, I don't think they're going to be sticking around. And if we can wake them up to the fact that they're in a cult and that's why they have stuck around, I think we can make an impact on that for sure.
That'd be amazing.
Sounds great. Stefan,
that was great, man.
So great chatting with you. I'm so glad that we connected and we were able to do this and get your story out there and hopefully help wake some people up out of either Amway or an MLM or potential MLM.
Thank you for doing what you do.
That was dope. I learned a lot.
So did I.
Great language to a lot of the stuff that we had in a different way. Different perspective. It was good. I love that. I learned a lot.
And this is a great little taste test of what's coming very soon with Bridget Reed, who wrote Little Bosses Everywhere, which has been on our reading list since it came out, and we've had many requests to keep covering multi-level marketing. So I guess it's something y'all want to know about.
Educational.
Very.
Thanks, everyone.
Till next time.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Retherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Lesli Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Nomoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song Cultivated is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.